Certainly an honor and a pleasure to have this man on the line. He's joined us on the show before. He's always very generous with his time. Not only is he a UNLV legend, incredible quarterback. What a career he had in the NFL. He's now the Raiders chaplain, which, by the way, I wasn't aware of that. That's very, very cool. The great Randall Cunningham joining us right now on the line. Randall, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
Thanks a lot, Randall.
Hey, it's a pleasure. It's always good to be able to come on and share a little of the gospel and talk about life.
Absolutely, my friend. So that's really cool that you're the Raiders chaplain. Can you talk to me a little bit about that? Hey, came together, because that's very cool.
It came together. It was a simple thing. Napoleon Kaufman, he knew that the team was moving to Vegas, and we're friends, and he's a pastor also. We used to play for them, and he just said, hey, you've got to be the chaplain. And Coach Gruden called me, and Mark Davis, the owner, and they just confirmed it, and it's cool. It's a slow process because of this pandemic, but
right.
I'm just waiting for the first game to get prepared to kick off.
That's going to be awesome, yeah. So I want to talk some football with you, Randall. I want to talk about UNLV, the no season there, college football. I want to get to all those issues with you, but if I could just get this one question out of the way, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
What is your take on all just what's going on in the world right now in this country? I mean, it's crazy, right? You mentioned the pandemic, Randall, but how about the protests and the racial divide and the political divide? You know, you've been around football a long time. You're a little older than I am. I mean, what do you make of what's going on in society in general right now?
Well, I think all over the world we're in a fight of good and evil. It's very simple, and it's very unfortunate that a lot of people aren't able to look at it as that. And, I'm not a political person. I would never run for a political office, Congress, governor, mayor, president, nothing like that. But it's just really a lot of deception. I think a lot of confusion in the world right now and in our country. Is just, there's a spirit of division that's gone out trying to divide our country. And I think as the American citizens, whether we have foreigners who've become American citizens or not, we need to pray, and we need to really figure out a way to be bigger than this issue. And I'm not talking about the pandemic, because God is the solution for the pandemic. But
right.
I think with all the riots, with the back and forth with our Republicans and Democrats, with, the right wing, left wing, just everything, I think that we really need to get on our knees, and we need to pray. And we need to see, we could see that people in other countries are, whether it's Muslims or whatever, people are coming and they're giving their lives to God. And, when you start to see things like that, now you got to look at the prophetic messages from the Bible that have taken place. But
sure,
people won't take time out to study that, because you have to do inductive studies to find out what was predicted by God back in the past, to find out what's happening today.
Yep.
The Lord's coming back. That's the bottom line, and we need to get right.
And what you said is I agree with. And I don't know if you heard of this guy. You probably have. His name is John Ponder. He was pardoned by the president, African-American man who found God behind bars, and it changed his life for the better, obviously. He's helped hundreds of former felons get jobs and get back in society, help them find God, no matter what their religion is, right? Who cares? In the end, Randall, it doesn't matter what religion you are, right? It's just be a spiritual person, and it saved John Ponder's life, and look at where he is now.
Well, I tell you what I see is that he has a calling on his life, and I thank God. I'm not going to lean to the left or to the right, Republican or Democrat, but I thank God that we do have a president that can see a person like that and pardon them. And the president has been pardoning people, and I don't think that that's just a thing to grab votes. I really believe that that's the time we're in, is people need to know in America that they can be forgiven, and everyone can be forgiven. And I think Ponder realized that, God forgave him, and now he wants to make a difference with the rest of his life.
Sure, and it's a great story. So one other question in regards to this stuff, then I want to move on and talk a little football with you, Randall, if that's okay. As a player back in the NFL, how do you think yourself? How do you think you would have handled it if you found out that some games might have been canceled because of maybe what's going on today? I mean, as a player back in the day, how would you have handled that, you think?
Well, I think I would have looked at the big picture. Number one, is me not playing going to help anything? Mm-hmm. And I think we're finding out today that we're standing up for what's right, but it's not helping. So I would have probably put together a program or got the guys in the NFL to raise a lot of money. And then I would go to our government and get with our military, and I would say, hey, we need to have the right training.
Yeah.
And we need to have the right screening for our officials that are going to lead us as, police officers, SWAT teams. And let's make sure not only do we pick the right people, but we pay them more because they're putting their lives on the line. And let's make sure the training, let's rethink the training, because it seems like there are people who are having issues with anger and it's fear, and it's coming out that people are dying, you know, and, when you got a gun in your hand, once you pull that trigger, I mean, that's only a quarter of an inch you got to pull it.
Right.
And then somebody's life is affected by it. You know,
Very
that
well said.
nerve or that emotion or that fear, that anxiety, that anger, if we could deal with that issue and put money towards that, and maybe get some more of our military people in the field, I think that's what I would have done. I would have put something together to raise money, millions and millions of dollars, to put not only my standing on a court and not playing, but actually putting it into something that's going to work, that's going to affect the people that it's happening to.
Very well said. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with the great Randall Cunningham, who's joining us. Let's move on to UNLV football real quickly, if I may, Randall. I mean, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. In last 20 or 30 years, right, Randall, you probably couldn't have found a more exciting time for UNLV football. I think it's fair to say that. Why? Well, we have a new coach. It brings a lot of excitement around the program. We have a new stadium. I mean, could you have picked Randall, could you have picked a worse time for the football season, the UNLV football season, to be canceled? I mean, it really is rough, isn't it?
Postponed or canceled? Because you scared me now.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if we're going to see UNLV football this year. I don't think we are.
I think the Pac-12 is talking about.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. I like Desiree over there.
Yeah.
She is my favorite. I mean, she's a great director for the school.
Mm-hmm.
I love her so much. She and her husband are great people. Coach Arroyo, oh, my God, the players that he has now, he's loaded with quarterbacks. I think these guys are going to take all the records down. He's got like 3 or 4 quarterbacks that can be starting in the nation for major D1 programs. And then Armani, unfortunately, he chose to go another place. But it's like we would have had 5 quarterbacks. That's one thing that we've been dealing with over the past years, that we've needed healthy quarterbacks. Now, there's a kid out of Rice, there's a kid out of Sarah, there's a kid out of Hawaii. We've got our guy from Liberty. But I saw this video of the kid from Rice. He's 6'4", 6'5", 240 pounds. I saw him scrambling. He took off out of the pocket, ran down the field, and hurdled somebody at that size. And I'm thinking, okay, where are my tickets?
God, that makes me more upset, though, Randall, what you're telling me right now. That gets me more disappointed. Yeah.
But, I mean, I understand, because they're really trying to take care of people, and the Mountain West has to make a decision, for us, and they have, and they want to postpone it and probably see what happens with the NFL and find out from the big boys, how to keep things going. And then, the thing about college kids is, they're free. They've left home. Mom and dad can't tell them what to do. It's a new life. They got to find themselves. So it's hard to tell them what to do when they're in college. I remember my college days.
Sure. Whether you're going back in the day, whether you're, at UNLV or in the NFL, how would you have handled going out onto a field, playing a game without any fans in attendance? Because that's certainly what some of these college athletes are going to have to deal with, and probably all these NFL games. That's just such a weird environment to me. I mean, what is that going to look like? How would you have dealt with something like that?
Well, I watched the great Sean Porter, our welterweight champion here.
Yeah, he's a friend of mine. He's awesome. Yep.
Oh, greatest guy.
Fantastic
Sean
guy.
went and he boxed the other day against a young German kid named Sebastian.
Yep.
And Sean Porter, he was cleaner in that boxing match than I've ever seen.
One of his best fights ever. I agree.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And I'm like thinking, hold on, Sean, there's no fans there. It's tough for other people because, see, Sean's a pro and he knows who God is. Yep. So it's one thing. But a young kid, I mean, you're going out there because you want people in the bleachers and you want to impress your parents. You want to impress the other girls at UNLV so maybe you could get a wife one day.
Right.
You want to impress the coaching staff. You want to impress the NFL.
Right.
And without that happening, it's like we need to televise these games locally. They need to be on our stations, and we need to make sure our kids are being seen. And that's a tough thing for them to go out there. But you know what? They got the good coaching staff. They've got great players. I'm going to tell you something. This team, I am so excited about what Desiree is doing. We got a new president at the school. I think it's going to be awesome. This is a tough time for all of them, so we got to bear with them and give them those 5 years they need to get things right over there.
Well, hearing that from somebody like you is incredible, and I think that's going to really get fans really excited. It's just unfortunate that we might not have a season this year. At least UNLV might not be playing any games. But let's hope for the best. Let's hope and see what happens.
But on the bright side, it does sound like, and this could be positive, but the Big Ten is going to start the season on October 21st. They had a meeting with the presidents today, and the president actually spoke to Kevin Warren, the commissioner of the league. And they're going to participate in the college football playoffs. So hopefully maybe some other conferences could follow through with that.
I gotta ask you this, Randall. I mean, as a pastor, how have you dealt personally with the coronavirus and social distancing? What do you think about the fact that, churches and synagogues and so forth have not been open for a while, but yet the casinos are? I mean, listen, Randall, that frustrates me, and it is kind of laughable.
Actually, in California, the gentlemen's clubs are open and the churches aren't.
Randall, I don't understand it. I'm not a Democrat or a Republican, but there's no consistency there, right? I mean, what do you make of that? It's crazy, isn't it?
Well, it hurts me and it makes me laugh at the same time because, I mean, let's just think about it. I'm not going to talk about the officials or anything like that. No, let's leave them alone. They've got a tough enough job with this pandemic.
Right.
But let's just say this. Who created this world is the first thing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. God created the world, right?
Sure.
So he gave us a rule book called the Holy Bible. And if we just follow the code of ethics in the Holy Bible rather than picking and choosing what we want, then what's going to happen is that we don't have to get to a point where everybody says, okay, we need to pray. No, God said if my people who are called by my name would humble themselves, seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, he says, then he will hear from heaven and then he'll heal our land. If anything, we need to be praying. Now, if we have to abstain from meeting together and you can only have a certain amount of people,
right,
let's do it. But let's communicate, because when you see what's happening in different states and you see, I mean, like I go in a restaurant, and I want to support the restaurant, so I'll go to a restaurant and make sure that I pay my $50 or $100 for a few people to eat so that I can keep our community going. I'm not going to sit at home and just cook every night because I have to be a community leader.
Right.
So I want to see people do well. So I can understand the opening up of the restaurants, the casinos, because if you don't have casinos here, then there's not going to be a Vegas. It's just not going to happen. So you're going to have a bunch of empty buildings. So
sure, that makes sense.
Well, that's our economy.
It is what it is. I mean, we don't really have resources here besides the casinos. I mean,
sure,
it is what it is. But we just have to be very, very wise. The masks, I think, are important.
Yes.
I think that social distancing is important. I think that Nevada, we're doing a great job with that. And, I just applaud our officials and the people who really care about each other, because I've been just basically living a normal life. I wear a mask and I go out, but, I don't cough on anybody. If I hear somebody coughing, I kind of walk the other way and pray for them.
No, but you know what? You said it yourself. Just be responsible, wear a mask. And I think the problem today with politics and this virus is that there's just no consistency. That's where I have a problem. Randall, you are a class act, my friend. You've done so many great things, and you continue to do great things for this community. I want to applaud you on that. Glad you're the Raiders chaplain. I think that is awesome. And let's hope we can see some UNLV football soon, my friend. And when we do, hopefully we can get you back on. Hopefully we can get you back on and talk about that. Randall, I always appreciate it when you take some time to join us, my man.
Anytime, you know that.
Thank you, Randall. You're the best.
Thanks
appreciate
a lot, Randall.
Thanks for coming on.
All righty.
That is the great. He is the great Randall Cunningham. He should be Sir Randall Cunningham. I'm telling you, that guy is a legend.
Legendary football, not just UNLV, but pro. I mean, legendary football player.
And he's a legendary human being.
Yeah, and by the way, outstanding person, clearly.
I didn't know he was friends with Sean Porter. I actually texted Sean
Porter.
That
would make sense,
yesterday, and I congratulated him on the fight. But two great guys, two of the nicest people that I know, Randall Cunningham and Sean Porter. Two extremely talented guys, too. Sean Porter, unbelievable fighter. Randall Cunningham was an unbelievable